What's it about? How the heck are you? Man, I'm tired. It's a long day. It's my long day today, but part of it was I got up, didn't sleep great last night, and woke up at 6:30 and could not get back to sleep. Worked till about 10:30, got home, was gonna eat, but then we had a little mishap in the kitchen, so I couldn't finish things up there. I needed to, so I thought, well, hell, I'll just set my video up. We kind of winged this one. Really didn't know what I was going to do until I just to grab something. I just told my wife, I need good with. I need to start near the top of the food chain tonight. Anyways, I digress. But I digress, man. Oh, I did forget. Just realized I forgot to do something. I got running behind, and I forgot to send the promos out. I just realized. I think it's too late to do that now, though. Damn it! Got running behind, and what happens when you get tired? You trying to get things done methodically, but something inevitably goes wrong. So I didn't send my promos out like I usually do. I think it's too late now. Once the video started, my bad. That's that's on me, right? Anyway, I'm tired, man. Anyway, did have a good day at work though. I'm just like I said, I just got up too early and I'm exhausted. It'll let me. I don't think it'll let me send it out as the promo, but think I can still share. Really? Change that up. Bear with me. It's just been one of those days. Me try to get this sent out real fast. All right. That's going to have to be good enough tonight. All right. So I thought about doing some beer, and I just wasn't feeling it. I've been having troubles drinking much beer lately. I don't know why. So I'm just doing some whiskey at the moment. We may have a beer later, video number two. But anyways, for now, this is what we got. Gosh, yeah. Can't do that. Hit the wrong button. All right. Well, we're just gonna have to make that good enough for now. Anyways, how the heck are you? Like I said, it's just a long day, trying to get things rocking here. There we go. Let's go. All right. All right. Now you have my undivided attention. Sorry about that. Sorry it took me so long to get rocking here. I'm going to start with some whiskey on the rocks, though, before it melts too much more on me. And it took me a little longer to get that going than I thought, but nevertheless, we persevere. I'm using my hard rock glass I got a while back. I don't know, pushing 2 years ago now, I guess, at the Hard Rock in Tulsa. Still some rye. I've been drinking more rye. I've always been a bourbon guy, but I'm really feeling the rye a lot. This is a 6 year old Kentucky straight malted rye. It's at a 100 proof. I really love this stuff. Our 100% malted rye whiskey is bottled in bond without chill filtration, exceeding the world's highest quality standard for spirits set forth in the 1897 Bottled in Bond Act. Aged at least 6 years, it's a 6 year old. Bottled in bond must be a minimum of four. This is a 6 year old, 100% malted rye. So think of it this way: this is basically the rye version of a single malt whiskey. 100% malted rye. It is past gorgeous. So I poured some neat. I poured some on the rocks. I also made a cocktail with it. Went rye three ways tonight. This is my first alcohol of the day, believe it or not. But like I said, I've been up a while. I might be getting a little punchy at this point. I decided to go a little bit on the rocks because I wanted something cold and refreshing. Uh, there was some nice whiskey. I do like the new riff stuff. I think they're done rather well. It says it's a sour mash, um, distilled, aged, and bottled by New Riff Distilling, Newport, Kentucky. So they actually are a distiller. We're seeing a lot of label whiskeys these days. Distilled in Indiana. There's not necessarily anything wrong with that. I used to have an issue with it. I'll be honest about that. I did. But there are a lot of good products out there. People picking and choosing their barrels and then blending. I mean, that's been done with Scotch. Johnny Walker, for instance, Johnny Walker blender. A lot of folks don't realize that. Uh, right there now. Right that sweet spot, I like to call it, where I've got all those sugars coming to the surface now. That whiskey in the system, so things will stop hurting. I'll be a little less cranky. Oh, mercy. I tried to fix this to eat. I had some ham. So I made some more, ground up some ham. We're going to have some ham salad and snack, but I had to go take a shower first. Then we had a little mishap and some glass got broke, so I couldn't get in the kitchen to finish it up. So I said, well, hell, I'm just going to set up the video now and get some alcohol in my system. I just need to drink something, man. And I was going to grab a beer and a whiskey. I said, no, we're just going all whiskey, baby. I'm just going out. We're going all in, man. Anyways, uh, had some folks come in for the first time and tried a few of my cocktails, and that's always nice. Try some of my specialty cocktails. One gentleman had one cocktail, said he really liked it, but then he said, "I'm more of a bourbon coke kind of guy." I said, I can do that too. He kind of looked at me. So I got the perfect bourbon just for that, and it's not the usual suspects. In fact, it's going to be better than those things. So we go single or double. It's up to you. He said, "Oh, double." I said, "All right, there you go." I do enjoy making cocktails, though. I like making them at home, but I love making them at work when I see folks really appreciate what I'm doing. When they taste that, they go, "Oh man!" Had some new folks come in earlier today, and they just had a young couple. They had same thing, and they just had one. They said they were kind of bar hop cocktail cocktail lounge, so they didn't expect us to have the cocktails like that, but they complimented my bartending skills, which was nice. I told them, this is kind of my fourth act career, but I really love being a bartender, and they said, "Well, it shows." You They said some nice things about me that I'm too modest to repeat, but it's nice when folks really appreciate what you're doing. Even the cocktails I didn't personally design, it's nice to when folks enjoy what you do. And having spent so many years in retail, that was rather thankless. I love being able to. There's a couple of years there from about 16 to 18 when I worked as a sales rep for Bree. That was rather enjoyable because I wasn't trying to sell folks something they didn't need. I wasn't trying to oversell anybody anything. Here's the product. I hope you enjoy it. When I went to the liquor stores, bars, and restaurants, and this is a good product. Everybody that I was able to get the product in there, everybody always enjoyed it. Always felt vindicated, right? And now back working in the craft beer industry again, but expanding that some into cocktails, man, I find it's just incredibly enjoyable. And again, it's nice when you get some appreciation. I had one table tonight that stayed a little late, and then they tipped extremely well, and they thanked me for my service. And I kind of pride myself in that. I try to provide excellent customer service because that's something I've done my entire life, which isn't an exaggeration. But the other part, that's a story for another day. Okay, I wanted to get that down. Now I'm going to drink this neat, and then I'm going to have a cocktail with you. How about that? So this is probably the only video I'm going to get into today. There may be another one very early in the morning. And as far as Friday goes, this one's going to do it. And I've got to finish our dinner. Look the color on this whiskey. I don't know. It's funny. Of course, it may be different now. I mean, back in the day, back when I was a kid, it seemed like everything you did, you picked up from your parents. You learned things that your parents said and kind of took it as gospel. That was bourbon drinker. I didn't really know anything about rye. He never said anything about rye, so I was probably, gosh, I don't know how old I would have been. I probably was at least 40 before I even had rye for the first time. But it's really only been in the last few years that I've kind of gone out of my way to learn about rye and buy a lot of rye, or especially small batch rye or small. small craft distillery rye, let's just say. And I will tell you, the more ryes that I have, I prefer the higher percentage rye, right? Whereas if I'm talking bourbon, where it has to be a minimum of 51% corn, I tend to prefer the bourbons now that are as low as possible, right? I like that 51 to 55, or I like that under 60 range. Let me just say that. And I like that high rye content, or if it's not rye, a nice, and you've got wheat as a secondary, a very healthy malted barley. A friend brought me a whiskey. It is whiskey about a week ago, and this has an interesting mash bill. Because I've always been more of a traditional bourbon guy, right? That uses rye as a secondary, even though the wheateds are very popular. Because a lot of wheateds just come out too sweet for me. But this one is 55% corn, 35% wheat, and 10% malted barley. And that's just a nice mix. Enough malted barley to add to the mouthfeel, the viscosity, if you will. That's been my issue with a lot of. I think the mouth. A lot of folks like the wheated whiskeys because they are sweeter, but they are softer as well. But for me, a lot of them just feel thin. But this particular mash bill, that 35% wheat with that lower corn at only 55, and again 10% of malted barley, just gives you a nice whiskey. This 100%, this is the first 100% malted rye I've had. And this is at 100 proof. I'd love to have this on cask, I gotta tell you. Um, uh, I love the flavors, but again, it's that mouthfeel, right? That viscosity. It's just velvety smooth. It's just a pleasure to drink. It's a beautifully done 6 year rye. And I think I'm glad my dad's not around to hear me say it. But I am starting to prefer rye over bourbon because a lot of bourbons just come off very sweet to me anymore. And the more I drink rye, the more I am appreciating a good rye. I'm not talking Canadian whiskey rye, right? I'm talking an actual. But I tell you, I do concentrate a lot, or I do pay attention to the mash bill, right? Again, if I'm talking bourbon, I want as low corn content as possible. If I'm talking rye, I want as high rye content as possible, which tells me I really like that rye malt. So I've got another one here. Well, I thought it was, but it's 75% rye, pumpernickel rye. I like that high rye content, but the other thing I liked about it, I thought it was right here. My whiskey disappeared on that. I don't know where that was. I thought it was right here. Well, anyways, it was just right here. I forgot what I did with it. It's making me crazy. I just looked at it when I got home. Yeah, I can't seem to locate it. Anyways, never mind. But anyway, it's 75%. I was trying to give you the other part of that mash bill, 75% pumpernickel rye. I can figure out where that whiskey is. It was right here when I first got home. And I probably moved it to make room, but I can't figure out what the hell I did with it. You put it on my car over there. It'll turn. It'll turn. I'm tired. Oh, mercy. Yeah, I got up to her. I got up at 6:30 and I couldn't get back to bed or back to sleep. And I finally got up because I didn't want to wake my wife up. I didn't need that kind of trouble. I didn't need that, man. uh, Gosh, that whiskey's so good. But yeah, I feel like your taste change as you get older. And I mentioned this to somebody who's even older than I am, and I was telling basically that I've become more sensitive to sweetness, especially when it comes to the whiskeys, and they disagreed, or at least for them anyway, that they like this. But for me, things just get there's certain things that just feels too sweet, and that might be why I'm kind of gravitating away from bourbon and more towards the rye because they're not as sweet. But also the viscosity, right? The mouthfeel. I feel the most rye, especially one like this, feels just a little chewy. Uh, all right, let me finish this up and go grab my cocktail. In fact, I think I'm just going to set this down and go grab my cocktail. We'll kind of work on both of them, or I'm going to be talking all night. It's going to take a while, Tom. Be right back. Anyway, the whiskey I was looking for that I seem to have misplaced is it's Sweetgrass out of St. Louis. And that was the one thing I really liked about it was the 75%, but it had a large um malted barley content. I can't figure out where I put that because it was right here, but I had to move some stuff around, take a picture. I'll be damned if I can remember what I did with it now. Anyway, I decided to make a Manhattan here. Oh gosh, that's 40s. And the Manhattan is my favorite cocktail, but I haven't been drinking them a lot lately because it's so hot here in the Ozarks right now. Not just hot, but it's just steamy. But tonight I needed that classic. I just want something. I needed that classic. So what I did here is I used 2.5 ounces of that whiskey, a half ounce of the Antica formula sweet vermouth, and then some strong water, uh, golden aromatic bitters. Starting to stay close to classic, but it took a little liberty there. I do have classic Angostura. I don't use them a lot, to be honest with you, in favor of other flavors and aromatics, if you will. I love this glass. This is the glass my wife found at a thrift store here in town. A hollow stem coupe, and they didn't think it was an expensive glass, but they seem to be rather rare. Right? Don't see much of them, but anyway, I do. I just I like the presentation of the glass. Uh, that rye. There was one reason I also wanted it because I made that decision right at the end, right? I was trying to figure out what to do. So when I have this here, where put some on the rocks and uh, Manhattan, because I have that 100% malted rye. But man, that's got to make a fine Manhattan, and it sure does. I'm almost out of my vermouth there, but I do have another one. It's a different brand, but in my opinion, I think it's just as good as the Antigua formula. Maybe even better because this is the one I picked this up at the end of my vacation last year, and man, I only bought the small bottle of it because I haven't been going through straight vermouth that fast, and I went through that little bottle really quick. Oh god. They're just for me anyway. There's just something special about the Manhattan. It's just a classic cocktail. The old fashioned seems to be, the cocktail of the day these days, and everybody wants to make it a little bit different. But the problem is, I feel like they're all making it too sweet, which is why I gravitate back to this classic. That's when I look at folks' cocktail menus, and they all seem. Now, let me take that back. Many of them just seem, or many of the cocktails on the menu just seem a little convoluted. I just don't feel like people need that many ingredients. I'm just that old school guy that thinks four is fine. And in this case, the Manhattan. Well, you've got the whiskey, you got the sweet vermouth, you got the bitters, and then you got the garnish. So if you count the garnish, some do, some don't. But if you count the garnish, we're only at four. No, I do have a couple cocktails. I go one or two over there. But for the most part, I don't think you need it. Now I I do. You said do do. You said do do. I do a version of a Manhattan. I call my summer Manhattan, where I've taken out. In fact, I wish I'd have made me one. But anyway, I take out the sweet vermouth and add blanc vermouth, and then I've taken out the stronger or more aromatic bitters, and I've added lemon bitters to really brighten up the cocktail, and I really like that one a lot. But since I've already had this whiskey rocks and need, this probably ought to be my last one for now, anyway, until I eat something. Since I haven't had a whole lot to eat uh, since about 9 o'clock this morning, I had to have had something. Let me lie to you. My wife picked me up these chomps. They're like the best beef sticks ever. They're not greasy. In fact, the texture's a little dry. She got these. They're called chomplings, I guess, or beef sticks. They're about this big. So I did eat three of them. I stretched them out between 1 and 10 tonight. Kind of stretching it out. Oh boy, that rye is just insanely good. I gotta tell you, it's amazing. It's one of those I bought. Bought it with we had a Total Wine come to town. How about that? Right here in Springfield, Missouri, by golly. Anyways, I only bought it because I had a very nice coupon. So I bought enough stuff to get me to a point so I could use that coupon to take me back to how much I wanted to spend, right? So it's one of the reasons I bought this particular whiskey. But it's so good, man. I'm gonna have to accept it. That's a lot of money. 100 proof whiskey. I do like bottled and bond. I think you're always safe when you go bottled and bond. Almost with maybe an exception or two. You're going to get a good whiskey because of the controls, right? It has to be a minimum of 4 years. It has to be a minimum of 100 proof, or it has to be at 100 proof. For single distiller, single distilling season, they have to be stored a very specific way. So yeah, even some lesser brands, if you buy their bottled and bond, you're gonna get a very consistent whiskey. Yeah, halfway up the food chain, well, that really depends on how much you want to spend, but you're gonna get a consistent whiskey. But this one, it's aged 6 years. This 100% malted. Oh my gosh, it is crazy good. It's the first 100% malted rye I've ever had. And I got to tell you, if I ever see any again from any other distiller, I'm going to buy it. Because I mean, I've enjoyed this whiskey almost like no other. I love that 100% malted rye. It is just delectable. Again, the flavors, the aromas are incredible. You know, I was trying to do a very positive video here. Then I've got this douchebag that tries to make a political statement when I've said nothing about politics through this entire video. I mean, Jesus Christ, dude. How fucking. Yeah, the wrong button there. Anyways, I'm going to forget about that asshole. Again, I'm just thinking, why would you do that, right? I've done this entire video talking about nothing, talking about nothing but whiskey. And my day at work and my wife. I said nothing even remotely political. This jackass just jumps up with something political that has nothing to do with anything about this video. So if you're still watching me, jackass, go fuck yourself. I mean, go get a fucking life and quit being a jerk. And never comment on my videos again. I want nothing to do with you. You're a horrible person. You're a horrible individual. And you're supporting someone with no morals whatsoever. So never comment on my video again. Anyways, leaving that asshole aside, there's always some. See, that's the thing. You know, there's always that one. You're having a good day or you're in a good mood. There's always somebody that wants to mess up your mojo for no other reason than they're just a colossal asshat. So I'm going to go back to focusing on my wonderful whiskey, my amazing wife, and a very good job, and forget about jackasses that just want to make everybody as miserable as they are. Anyways, I digress. But I digress. But then again, I mean, I did have some help in that digression right there, right? I wasn't going to digress if this asshole just wasn't, just going to be an asshole. And he focusing back onto whiskey. Let's take the focus back. Bring it back, Tom. Uh, so I've got the new Kentucky Straight Malted Rye Whiskey, aged 6 years. I got to tell you, it wasn't the price on this wasn't extreme, but it was also going. I don't know, but again, I bought it because I had that coupon, and once I tasted it for the first time, I went, "Oh my lord!" This stuff is amazing. Yeah, I will definitely buy this again. Look, there's a lot of whiskeys I don't revisit, not necessarily because I didn't like them. It's because there's just so much out there. But this is one that I'm not going to necessarily call it a go-to, but it is one I really would like to keep around about all the time because I love that 100% malted barley. It's just amazing. Oh gosh, yeah, that is good. I haven't had an actual Manhattan in a while because, like I said, it's been hot. So I tried to invent that summer Manhattan, which I really like. But I was so tired and in so much pain this evening that I really wanted that, that comfort cocktail, if you will, right? Sometimes you want that comfort food, that fried chicken, that chicken fried steak, or however you grew up. The pork cutlet with the white sauce or the cream gravy or bechamel, depending on how you grew up. Just want that comfort. Tonight, I just wanted that comfort cocktail, right? This is the Manhattan's my comfort cocktail. I just wanted something familiar, man. I wanted that comfort cocktail. anyways, I digress. A little bit I need left. I just wanted to get through that cocktail. Oh, well, I better wrap this up. Go finish my go get my dinner, or it's probably after midnight before we eat. So my breakfast, whatever it might be, and then I may see you on the other side. I so at this moment in time, I'm just a whiskey whisperer, but I gotta show you this bottle one more time. If you get the opportunity to buy this, I cannot recommend it highly enough. New Riff Kentucky Straight Malted Rye, aged 6 years. This stuff is just insane. But I got to be honest, I feel like the more I have New Riff products, the more I enjoy them. So there you go. I am. I am Tom, the whiskey whisperer, whiskey evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, purveyor of wisdom, and all around good guy slouch. And thanks for tuning in.